We are not alone. No, I'm not that guy on late night radio talking about UFOs and space aliens. I'm your pastor talking about life in the church, where we are not alone in our faith or in our struggle with being faithful. We are not alone even as a congregation socially distanced. We are not alone, but we do long for the time when we can be together. Jesus spoke to his disciples about things that would happen, that he would suffer, be crucified, and rise again. The disciples had a really hard time thinking about this, but when they did, and especially as the time drew close, they focused mostly on the suffering and the dying, and not so much on the resurrection and what that might mean, because I think they feared being alone. They feared being without Jesus and without each other. In the night in which he was betrayed, we recognize that phrase spoken each time we have the Lord's Supper, where Christ is present with us in bread and wine. In that night, Jesus spoke again about leaving them, but promised the disciples, "I will not leave you orphaned." Another older translation says, desolate. "I will not leave you alone as a child without parents, or as if in a ghost town." But Jesus goes on and promises to send them the Holy Spirit. On Pentecost, we remember and celebrate the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, who inspired preaching of the gospel through which people came and still come to faith. By the Spirit, believers are the church, Catholic in the sense of universal, all together, everyone, everywhere, and for all time, even now, when we cannot visibly represent it or experience it. The word does come over the internet. We eat bread and wine of communion at the same time, but at our own tables, with the assurance that Christ is present with each and with and for all. We are not alone. And yet this church also is the communion of saints that witnesses by confessing faith with one voice, eating and drinking from the same table, and experiencing the love that Jesus commanded us to practice in the same breath by which he promised to send the Comforter. Though we now keep distance out of love for neighbor, knowing we are not alone in the church and by the Spirit, let us not grow content with that. Rather, pray for the time to come when our love for God and neighbor can be expressed in holy community. Come, Holy Spirit, be with us now. Gather us in. I'm First Lutheran Church Visitation Pastor Mark Erlaub. This is Light for Today.